Hello and welcome back. We're here 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, our Sunday session. I think that kind of got a nice little ring to it. Sunday sessions. Sunday sesh. We're having a Sunday session video for you guys. So, what are we talking about today, Miss Logan Steele?
So today we thought we would tell you about how I became Mrs. Steele.
Oh wow, we got a juicy topic
Did
today.
you like how I just slid right in there?
Slid right in there.
But seriously, we thought we might as well share our story on how we met
Yeah, for sure.
and you know all the things that led to where we are now, and then at the end give you a little life update and just kind of how things are going these days.
Yes, and I think a point of our story, our personal story, is to what? It's not really, we're not trying to like gloat or anything, but
Oh, no. We just want to be able to share just like the faithfulness and goodness of God and how He has just so graciously made Himself known in our stories. And
oh, for sure. His hand's been it the whole way, and He gets all the credit for making it happen. And basically what we're trying to say is that the Notebook basically took our story, and so we're kind of in a big legal battle at the moment because the Notebook, the movie, they took our story.
Probably,
basically.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. The Notebook's a great movie. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I'm
anyway,
just kidding.
So
But yeah, no, it is a good romantic story, and God's hand has been very evident in
Yeah.
it for sure. So do you want to?
okay, so how did this all happen?
How did it all happen? Well, boom. I'm gonna
That was pretty good.
yeah, I have to use that one in the video. Okay, so basically, I'll start it. Okay, basically, I was born, March
Going way
15th,
back.
1996, right? I'm just kidding, I'm not gonna go that far back. But what I'm gonna start is I was living in Charleston with the two Callahan brothers, Jack and Christopher. We were just chilling, batch padding, living the bro life out in Charleston. I moved there out of college. Ended up taking a great job at Palmetto Engineering. Big shout out, Palmetto. So I got a job with them. I was traveling a lot closer to where my parents lived at the time. So I said, hey, I'm gonna drop the rent. I'm gonna live with them and save up a little extra money. Not really expecting at all to find a lady there, a godly woman, I should say. And wasn't really looking for it, wasn't really expecting it. Just kind of thought it was a short stint back home and save up some money until they retired, and just looking for, maybe my next move to maybe like Nashville or somewhere else, kind of like in a big city like that, looking into my next options. And anyway, Cody Martin, a good friend of mine, who also worked at Palmetto at the time, he basically was like, he invited me to church, a somewhat local church. It's about a 45-minute drive for me in Florence. Great church led by a great leader, Mr. J. Teal, so shout out to him as well. And just a really vibrant church that was growing, and I could see myself being active in there for that season that I was going to be back home. And start getting kind of noticed. Cody and Kendall are kind of like, yeah, look at that, it's Logan over there. We think she's single or whatever they were saying, but they, kind of tell me to date her, and I was like, I'm not really looking to date right now. And then you might be able to tell the other portion, because I've told you enough of what I thought when I first saw you.
Yeah, so he saw me for the first time and he thought to himself, man, that's a 30-year-old single mom.
Yeah, I did. I will say I do have good vision. I think it's 2020 as far as I know, but she was far off. She was wearing like a turtleneck.
Mature.
She was, wearing a turtleneck, and I was like, I couldn't really see her. Like, she was sitting by herself in a pew, and I was just kind of like, man, this like a mom, like single mom, and I couldn't really tell. So anyway, I kind of left the building and didn't really think much more about it.
Also, nothing wrong with 30-year-olds.
No, nothing at all. It's just I wasn't in that stage of life. Like I wasn't there yet. I'm not there to be able to like handle like a single mother and child and all that. Like I wasn't really So anyway,
So
it wasn't in my wheelhouse at the moment. So, but anyway, kind of walked off and got out of the building, and kept trying to find more ways to be involved. Me and Cody kind of thought about scheming up starting a young adults group that kind of grew, and
so I will insert my part of the story
go for it.
up to this point now. So that's Briley's side. My side was more like I lived in this town my whole life. Darlington, and then the church is in Florence, Compassion Church Florence. If you're looking for a good church, especially you young adults, because there's a good group there. But anyway, so I had been in the same town forever, and I had just recently gotten out of a relationship, and I was just like, I am going to be single for a year. And so I was determined to be single for a year. And I was moving to go to grad school. I didn't know where I was gonna be at yet. I just knew I was not gonna be in this same town. So I was like, I don't wanna start anything, because if I move, it'll make things complicated. I just want a fresh start wherever I go. And so anyway, I was like, this is gonna happen 1 year, fully going in with the Lord. That's it, no outside distractions. And I was serious about that. And
yeah,
so,
she's telling me, which this is later later down the road, but she's telling me, during this time period in her life, she's going on dates by herself.
Yeah, I went to restaurants and just sat by myself and ate.
Kind of dating with
the Lord, because
yeah.
I didn't want to, I don't know. I mean, it takes a lot to go to a restaurant by yourself. And I was just like, that's terrifying to me, so I'm just going to do it. And I loved it. And so I did it a few times. And I really built up some confidence there, and just felt like, it was what I needed to do at the time. So anyway, I think it was Mike Todd probably on some relationship series that he does. But I remember him saying one time that, just stay consistent and stay wherever God has you at, and He will put the right people in your life at the right time. You don't have to go out and search for people. If you just do what God's called you to do, the Lord will place the right people in the right timing in your life. So I kind of hung on to that, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep serving. I'm just going to keep showing up every week and just doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing in this season. And so now it's the night before I've met Briley, and I'm wearing the shirt that we both got at the same place, different times, at a church that he went to for college. And I went with a good friend, Courtney Ponder. And anyway, so we had gotten the same exact shirt. So the night before I met Briley, I, just being a girl, and okay, you know what, Lord, I know I said I wasn't gonna date, and I mean that, but I just give it to you, because I'm sick of thinking in the back of my head, well, maybe I could date, just how we do. Mm-hmm. So I was the night before I met Briley, that I told the Lord, I'm done. I'm done. Just take it. And so I sleep in the shirt that he then wears the next day to church.
Yeah, so I showed up in that shirt, and obviously I didn't know that she wore that shirt the night before until later, but it was just kind of very much a God thing. I was wearing the same exact shirt she went to sleep in the night before. Showed up to church, and that was the first interaction that we had really ever had. I was wearing that shirt, and
I'm doing the check-in for guests, and he walks out to me, and then he proceeds to ask me questions about things going on in the church. And no, I'm not clueless, but I normally am outside serving during the announcements, and so I never hear a lot of the announcements at the time.
Yeah, so I was asking her about some kind of serve project that they do on Saturdays, and she had no clue. I don't think they do that. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure your pastor just said it. So, but I was at the point, I remember pretty vividly, the first time I saw her, we were talking about earlier, I thought she was the older mother and just kind of by her, like, she was sitting all by herself and everything. But then later, I would say when I first saw her, it would have been like early January. And that would have been when she was off at a distance. But then I would say maybe not too long, maybe a few Sundays later, whatever, I had walked by her up close, and I was just like, wow, this girl is beautiful. But I kind of just shut it down. It's kind of like, I'm not really gonna pursue it super hard. Like, I don't want to, go down that road, because I'm not trying to live here for the rest of my life. She's probably just a homebody. She just wants to stay there. So
we both are thinking in our heads, we don't want to date. We don't want to get things started here.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I had not seen him, even though he had seen me. I had not seen him until he came up and talked to me.
Right. So at this point,
I was so like, I'm not dating.
So at
I'm
this
just,
point,
like, not interested.
So I see her first time, collar, like turtleneck, 31 months. Second time I see her, she's gorgeous, about blows me out my socks. And then I'm like, because I saw her up close, and then, but as soon as I looked at her, she like looked the other way and started just kept going. I was like, dang, she didn't even like. I'm just invisible. I'm just an invisible dude, whatever. So anyway, I didn't really think much beyond that. But then I saw her out there at the check-in desk, and I was like, as some of you do know, like, she was on my radar a little bit. I mean, I know a lot of shit. I was like, yeah, I need to at least go and introduce myself. Like, so I went and go talk to her and ask her about the Serve project, because I was interested in getting involved with service too. So it's kind of like two birds with one stone. So I just said, yeah, that's a good opportunity. I'll go talk to her. And then she has no clue about the Serve project, and I'm like, whatever. I thought I was being kind of like nervous and like kind of tripping over my words and stuff, but she says not. She says, like, apparently in her eyes it was some dreamy, like I was just a silver tongue, smooth talker, and she was just like loving it. Maybe not. Maybe that's just that's maybe how I like to imagine her looking at me. I don't know.
No, you're right. It was like the halo and the.
And I was wearing my shirt, of course, and that she had wore the night before.
So I immediately, as soon as I see him, think, that's my husband. And I go home and I tell my mom and my dad and my sister and all my friends that, hey, I met my husband. And they're like, you're crazy. And so, but I just, when you know, and I've heard people say that my whole life, and I'm like, but how? Like, how do you know? But you just know. Like, you don't have to force it. It just happens. So anyway.
She knew immediately. I knew really quickly, but at that point, I wasn't like, she knew quicker than I did.
So I knew, like, as soon as I saw him, we had that first conversation, I was like, that's my husband. But then I also immediately countered that thought and said, but no, you're not dating for a year. So then
But you also thought my name was...
Hold on, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So I get it out of my mind, like, okay, this is not happening. But then Trey Poston, who was over the, check-in, the service place that I was working, was like, I can see that. And I'm like, no, I'm not dating for a year. You're crazy. And then I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. But I was like, no. And then I go tell, like, my friends, and I'm like, okay, I could marry him, but, like, I'm not dating. And they're all like, well, if you think you could marry him, like, I know you say you're not going to date, but, like, maybe you should be open to it, because, like, if the right person comes along, I don't think you should just, like, say, well, I'm not dating for a year.
What's that verse? We make our plans, but the Lord establishes our steps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just facts.
So then, like, as he's telling me his name, he says it really fast, and, like, I'm not even thinking about it. But my sister has the name Bradley with 2 E's, and he said Briley, but he said it so fast that, like, I just associated it with Bradley. And so I'm like telling everybody, he's like the perfect guy, but his name is Bradley. It's like, I can't date a Bradley. My sister's name is Bradley. And so then I'm like running the social media for the church and all, and I get home and I remembered that I had posted something the night before that was like, share your favorite Bible verse, and he had commented on it, and I saw Briley.
And that was the Compassion page. That was not her personal account.
Yeah, the Compassion page.
She was running the social media for Compassion Church.
So I clicked on his profile and I'm like scrolling. I'm like, this is him. Oh my gosh, it's not Bradley. So this is like the perfect guy ever. So we're good. We're back on track. But then as we get to, like, that was it that day. We just talked. He came up, asked me a few questions I didn't know. We had a little conversation. Looked him up on Instagram. That was it. Like, then I didn't see him again until the next week. Then he comes up and again, I'm just kidding, but he comes up.
Yeah, I was interested in being friends at the time because I kind of told myself, again, I had shut down the whole dating thing because I didn't really want to date somebody that I didn't really think that it would go to the distance with, because I didn't want to live in that. I wasn't sure that I wanted to live in that area long term, and I kind of had other thoughts too about going other places. But basically, I was interested in being her friend. I told myself, I'm not going to completely shut it down. Like, I at least can be her friend, and like we can see how that goes. Like, and I'll get to know her more just as a friend. So I was going to pursue her as a friend, and so I did go up to her like the following week and ask her to come get lunch. Of course, she rejects. I was gonna ask her to come get lunch as a group, like, because she had some friends who were visiting. Yeah. So I gave her the old. It's friendly, but it was like
he tapped me on my elbow.
Like, it was a non-sexual like thing.
Yeah.
It was like I just like came up to her and was like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And then,
hey, we're gonna go to blah blah blah. You want to join? And then I was like, oh, I have some friends with me, but if they want to come, I'll be there. So but I really did ask them, and we had already had plans to go to eat Mexican, the typical.
Yeah, so she never showed up, and I was like, whatever, she doesn't care.
But
it's all good. I wasn't like super upset about it, but.
Little did he know, I was very interested, and
yeah, she did not I had no clue she was interested pretty much the entire time.
But I wanted him to pursue me, so I didn't want to force it, and I didn't want to be like yes to everything either, because I wanted to see how far he would pursue me.
Oh, for sure. And so it's kind of a funny dynamic. Obviously, in her head, she already knew that she was going to marry me. She already made that decision. But I was like, she has no interest whatsoever. So that you can see the dynamic there. Like, if you're in that single or dating stage, like, you just don't know what's, where people's heads are at or what they're thinking. So, but anyway, we'll continue to kind of.
So then, Briley comes up to me the next week, I guess it was. Something, I don't know. He came up to me like the next week and asked if I wanted to be a part of this young adults group that they were starting up.
Right, because Jay thought that we needed, JT, Pastor Jay, he thought that we needed some female influence in our social media game, which we desperately did, because me and Cody are not social media pros. So Logan was already running social media, so he advised us kind of getting it with Logan, because she was running social media for the church, and said, hey, she'll be able to help make a page, because we wanted to make a page to kind of promote our new young adults group and all that. And so anyway, I'm talking to her. I think I DM you on Facebook.
Yeah, so it starts on the typical Facebook DM.
Yeah, now that you think about it, because I kind of roast people for DMing people, but like, I guess I kind of DM'd my wife.
But you did meet me before you.
Yeah, I talked to her in person for sure. It was not like completely. Yeah, it wasn't a straight up catfish moment.
So whenever he DMs me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he just DM'd me. And so then I'm like telling my friends, oh, he just DM'd me, and anyway, so he's just like, it's very friendly. Like, we're both just being friends at this point.
Yeah, I'm like sharing her some songs that I like. And
yeah,
like
so it started out all business. The camera cut off a little bit, so we're back and getting back to the DMs.
Yes, so where were we?
So we would start, it was first just business, like hey, what do you think of this design? What do you think we should do with this? Here's some information, let's put it on Facebook, and then it became, hey, here's this song.
Yeah.
What do you think about this song? And I'm like, oh, let me send you some songs. And then we start to get to know each other through DMs, and then.
Yeah, for sure. So then I think I asked her, I'm starting to kind of think, hey, I'm starting to like her more and more, and like maybe I should ask like what her plans are with her life and like what she's doing and all that, because I definitely didn't want to like pursue it for dating if I didn't think that it would like work in the long run. So anyway, I asked her, what her plans were, and then she immediately hit me up and said, oh, I really want to go to Nashville for grad school. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm thinking about I want to go to Nashville. And then
the next message was, will you go on a date with me?
Well, right before I sent that message, I will say that I called Pastor Jay and I was like, hey man, I think I want to ask this girl out, Logan, of course.
This girl.
And I want to ask her out, and would it be weird if I, ask her out and we're like kind of co-workers, on this young adults, group? And he was kind of like, he encouraged me. He's like, no, I don't think it would be wrong. I was like, would it be, so basically I got the kind of approval from him. So I kind of went for it. And I was like, literally at the next text after she had told me that she was wanting to go to Nashville for Vanderbilt, I was like, hey, you want to go on a date?
And so I said yes.
So the rest is basically history.
Basically, but then COVID happened. And so he was like, hey, let's just wait till all this calms down and we can go on a date. And then it was maybe like a week later, and
I'm
he was
like
okay,
I'm impatient. It's not getting in better anytime soon. Like
right. So we had like a FaceTime date over the phone.
Yeah. And
then we were like, we met in person again.
Well, we had a FaceTime date. Quickly to go into that, we had a FaceTime date. I played her a song. I got a ukulele. First song I ever performed to her on FaceTime and sang her a little song. And anyway, she loved it. We talked on the phone for like hours. Like, at the first time we'd ever talked on the phone, and I knew immediately after the first conversation. I told my dad, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna marry this girl. Like, and so we had hit a lot of the tough conversations pretty much. I mean, we were talking deep, stuff at the very beginning. So we just knew, where we were, where we wanted to go, and rest is pretty much history. We dated for 5 months. Engaged for 8 months, and then we were married in about 13 months total of like official dating. Well, actually, I'll tell you that a little bit. We talked for like a month, then dated for 5 months, and then and when I say talk, we talked intentionally, like dating, like talking, not like we were not like Facebook official dating, but we were like, hey, you want to go on a date? Like it wasn't just friendship. So we had about a month there. We talked.
Like with all the hard, deep conversations, but he was very clear from the beginning, like, hey, I guess that was when we first started dating, maybe. I don't know, it was at the beginning, and he like told me, hey, I want to see if this could end in marriage. Like he was intentional from the beginning of, these are my plans. Mm-hmm. This is what, I want to seek from this relationship, which I respected. And we talked
early on, like, hey, like if either one of us realize this is not going to work out, like let's just make sure that we cut it off. Like we don't want to date just to date. We were very try to be very intentional about not doing it in a healthy way. So
then I applied to a bunch of different grad schools. I get in to Samford. We make that decision that this is what's right for us, and that can be a whole nother video on how all that process happened, because the Lord's hand was all over that as well. But anyway, we make the move to good old Birmingham. We're in a nice little apartment for about a year. Yeah. And then fast forward.
For about 1 year, we ended up finding I felt like a pretty good deal on a home. We didn't want to rent anymore because rent's so high, and bought a home, and it's pretty much where we're at now. But I think that it's just overall, God's hand is very much all in the story. Like there's so many things that he aligned that were just they were totally out of our control. Like me wearing the shirt that she had, like the same shirt that she had wore the night before.
And it's not just that I wore it the night before, but it's just that I like surrendered my search and everything the night before I met him, of like, I'm taking it out of my hands, because even though your plans
they're gonna be the plan. Like you're gonna just trust God, whatever happens. And I was not pursuing it. I knew I was kind of in a season of my life where I knew, like, I'm thinking of the verse, I wish I could quote it exactly, but it was basically the verse where God says, seek his kingdom first and all things will be added. So to you. So I was just kind of like, well, I'm just going to do what I can do now and in my season to really just chase after the Lord. I took different steps to be like involved in groups and like trying to lead young adults and things like that. So I just was really focused on seeking the kingdom first and adding, just spreading the gospel and stuff. So I knew I wasn't really focused in on it. It wasn't forced at all. It was very natural.
Oh yeah, it was so natural. And the thing that he commented on that Instagram post was Proverbs 3:5-6, which has been like, we say our verse, ever since the beginning, because I had the same verse as my lock screen for months. But that verse was, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. And so we both were like, this is the verse that we were clinging to. And we didn't even know each other at the time.
Yeah, like she was running the church's social media, and I made that comment, so she obviously received the comment to her notifications and stuff, but I didn't know that she was running it at the time. So I mean, there was just a lot of stuff, and I mean, everything just worked out just right. Like the fact that I moved back home, things like that.
Like just the way things had timed out so perfectly. It was just all the Lord. And I had been praying that like the Lord would just write my love story. Like I wanted it to be a story that only the Lord could write. And so, I mean, I think he very well did that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he definitely did. And I mean, he gets all the praise and glory for it, because I mean, we just know, like, we made a decision, like, we're not getting, married and all this. Yes, they're for each other, yeah, but more so, we think that we're the right fit. Like, we think that we're the right couple to maximize each other's gifts and to spread the word and let people know how much Jesus cares for them and loves them, and he's given us a great teammate, partners, and spouses, and just like we line up on so many issues, like our beliefs, as well as we want children, and we want to do we want to really just magnify the Lord and make use of our lives. And he just put the puzzle pieces completely together when we both were not expecting it at all, and nor seeking it. And I feel like it lined up well because we were seeking him, and we were seeking what he wanted us to do, and not seeking a spouse, not seeking some sort of fame or anything like that. We were just seeking what he wanted, and that's when he put things together for us.
So I hope that this was all very encouraging to everyone listening, whatever season of life you're in. If you are, single at the moment, I hope this encourages you to just be where God has you to be and continue to just show up and be faithful and trust that the Lord will add, to your life whenever it's his will and his plan. But also, like, keep in mind that if you're in a dating relationship, or even if you're single, that having someone else in your life is not going to make you more valuable or, get you to that next step.
It's not going to fulfill you. Like a spouse is not meant to fulfill, but it's meant to be a gift.
To encourage you and be a helpmate. And so just keep that in mind, whatever season of life you're in. If you're married, I hope this encourages you to share your love story, because who knows who needs to hear it. And we all have such a unique, way that the Lord has brought us together. And so I think we all are given stories that we can encourage different groups of people. And
for sure. I think a good theme of this is just put your own pen down to your own story and let God write it for you. Because, when you let go, you surrender. I mean, he will write the best love story ever, because he knows what you need, and he knows what he's got for you. So, and
he knows everything that you've been through, and will just put the right person for you.
Yeah. So
in your path. And
for sure,
I'm super thankful for this man.
Super thankful for this woman.
All that he does, and I'm thankful for little May.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes.
Come here. No, she's sweet. She is our little baby for now. I know. Yeah. She just wants to play. She's still a little puppy. But anyway.
Sunday session.
Sunday session is coming to a close.
Yes, so we will holla at you next weekend. Please like, comment, subscribe if you relatively like us whatsoever at all. Maybe we're like a 10% out of 100. Maybe we're a 1 out of 10.
Maybe we're a 10 out of 10.
Maybe we're a 2 out of 10, but we got 2 of your brownie points. So at least maybe give us a like and subscribe if you do want to get more. So anyway.
So I hope that this video encouraged you and did not be a, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't let it, this isn't us, like we've already said. This isn't us.
This is not about
trying
us at all.
to-
This is all about God doing his
Yes.
thing. And he can do it for you. He's done it for us. He will do it for you. Just believe in that. And, you know, and I guess when I say he's going to do it for you, he's got a story written for you. He's got a plan for your life. And don't focus on, it may not be, like, don't focus on the spouse. You know, that's not in your control. But I can tell you this, you know, God's got a good life and a good plan for you. And don't worry about, you know, trying to plan out your life and you need a spouse or you need that. He's got everything under control. Just seek his kingdom first, put him first every day, and you're going to be, you know, your story's going to be written. And anyway, that's all we really got.
That's all we got this week. That's a little longer than last week. We're going to try to keep it shorter, but I hope that it's hard to narrow it down to just 10 minutes. But I hope that this encouraged you and that, you know, you will continue to put God first and just seek his will above your plans. And, you know, I'm excited to hear what God does.
Yeah, let us know.
So,
and I think for the week, the Sunday session, that's
and that's a wrap. So we'll see you next week.
peace.
Hello and welcome back.
Hello and welcome back. I'm just kidding. You did a great job.
Thanks.